I'm not even on the screen right now. That's how excited I am, but I'm really excited for tonight. I'm excited for every night, but tonight especially because my hope tonight is, for the last 20 plus years of my life, I have tried and tested. I have shot for optimal health. I'm an athlete. I want to get the most out of what I'm doing. I mean, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of sacrifice. And, why would I not want the most of that? And over the course of those years, there has been so many different diets and supplements and programs and protocols and bro science and, do it this way and no, do it that way and add this or don't add that. And it's like, oh my God, like at the end of the day, you're just like, okay, I just want to be healthy. What the hell can I actually do to be healthy? Because that's what I want to do. And does it have to be so rigid? Do I have to cut out everything? Do I have to not live life? Do I have to not have fun? And spoiler alert, the short answer to that is absolutely freaking not. You don't have to do any of that. In fact, majority of the information that we learn and we hear is actually not good information at all. And that's where I kind of want to start tonight before we get into the topics that I listed. And for those of you that maybe didn't read, what it was about, we're going to get into a lot of stuff tonight. We're going to get into protein. How much protein should I be taking in? Is it really as important as what they say? Do I need to take it at a certain time of the day? Should I not take it at a certain time of the day? Hydration. Is it really what it's at? Do I really have to drink a whole freaking gallon of water every single day and feel like I'm going to pee myself all the time? We'll go through that. Rigidity versus flexibility dieting. Which one is the best? Which one's going to give me the most long-term results? How do I create my own individual food blueprint? Is there a magical window of opportunity once I'm done working out? How many people have heard this one before? Once I'm done working out, I got to slam in that protein because I only got a short magic window that my body's going to maximally optimize that. Have you heard that before? So we'll talk about that. What about carbohydrates? Oh my God, should I eat carbohydrates? Should I not eat carbohydrates? Can I eat them and still hit my health goals? What happens if I want to be this? We'll touch on a little bit of that. What does it mean to be fat adapted? Is that really the best way to live life? Let's talk about it, right? Let me share with you what I've learned. The cool part, and I think one of the things that really makes me confident to share this with you guys is, not only have I spent the thousands of hours studying, learning from some of the most brilliant people in holistic nutrition, functional medicine, whether maybe it's not, and it's a topic that they're on, doctors, I've always just had this open mind. And although I've been very rigid in my ways at times because I'm an all or nothing person, like I want to do it, I want to do it hard, I want to go. I've also been thankful because I've been able to have a science mind, and to have a science mind means that you have to be open-minded because what you believe today could be disproved tomorrow by brand new research that's been being worked on for the last 5, 10, 15 years. And if you're not open-minded enough to that new way, you're going to think science is just another bunch of hocus pocus, yippity yoddity. And it's not going to make any sense to you. But if you look at it from the broader scope, then you'll start to understand. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm excited to share all that with you because not only have I learned it from, courses in school and books and podcasts and all that stuff, but I love it because I use myself as a freaking human guinea pig first. Before I've ever shared anything with anybody, there's stuff that I've shared, I'll tell you right now, 10 years ago that I no longer believe is true. And I go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But I was using it myself. So that's the biggest difference. Like, it's not just like where I'm telling it to you and I'm not experimenting. Like, I experiment, I'm the human guinea pig. And then from there it goes. What I've learned over the course of time is, unfortunately, my food could be your poison. And that's one of the things that's the most confusing when it comes to this. So let's zoom out for 1 second before we dive into the specifics. And let's look at really what's the biggest problem that we face today. And I think one of the biggest problems that we face today is that everybody believes that they know everything when it comes to food and nutrition. And I just got done, Alan Argan, this guy, out of anybody that you could read, out of anybody that you're going to listen to, out of anybody, this is the OG when it comes to nutritional exercise research. I mean, this is back to the bodybuilding.com days. Like, this guy is the most evidence-based person that you will ever come across. He doesn't bash anything. He looks at everything. He looks at the meta-analysis of all of the random control studies, which is the creme de la creme of all the research. And he's going to just give it to people how it is, but he's also just really cool, really down to earth. I'll post this for people if you want to check it out. But if you're going to read any book by anybody about nutrition or exercise, this is literally the only one that you need. The funny thing is, Alan actually posted in here, and I want to share with you guys one of the biggest problems, and he actually agrees with this. And one of the biggest problems today, and why people are so confused when it comes to nutrition, food, anything to that nature, Alan says that one of the biggest things is that we all eat. So because we all eat every single day, all of a sudden that starts to generate experts in the field, right? If you tried something and you got some results after 14 days, it's like, oh, hallelujah. This is it. This is it for everybody. Everybody should do this. And unfortunately, the human body doesn't work like that. We're one of the most advanced creations in all of creation. We are just so amazing as a human being that it's not the same for everybody. There are underlying foundational factors that can come into play and be a benefit to everyone. And we're going to dive into some of those tonight. So stay with me here. But it's important to understand that that's the first reason. The second reason that Alan says is because majority of our information is actually not coming from trained professionals in the field of nutrition and exercise. So they did a study and they looked at, I think this was from, let me get you the right thing, the 100 best-selling diet book authors, the credentials and the occupations of these authors, as well as the claims that were made in those books. How many times have we seen something from a physician or a doctor of some sort, or a celebrity, an endorsement deal, an Instagram influencer, and all of a sudden that because they have 1 million followers, because they became a celebrity status, because they passed medical school, all of a sudden they have all the answers for everybody. And the crazy part is the second reason we got very confused right now is because when you look at the 100 best-selling authors, you look at 33.7% of those books are physicians. And I'm going to quote Alan, but he says, perhaps unsurprisingly, physicians comprise the largest proportion, 33.7% of the 14 occupations in the sample. Listen closely. The general public is unaware of how woefully inadequate the nutrition course requirements are for physicians. So does that mean that everything that they say you don't trust? No, that's not what that's saying. But what he's trying to say is that, in contrast, dietitians, nutritionists, RDAs, stuff to that nature, those people are too busy seeing clients. Those people are too busy doing research. Those people are too busy in the laboratory. They don't have the time that it takes to write a book, because I don't think people understand. You don't just put a book together and you're like, oh, there it goes out to the world. Like, it doesn't work like that. So that's some of the biggest reasons that we're there. And the other reason that he says is that scientific literacy is very, very scarce. So the actual real science, and this is another important part that you have to understand. So Reason one that we're in trouble is because everybody eats. They all think that we're professionals. The amount of information that the average person is getting is not what's called random controlled trials, which is like the creme de la creme. And actually there's one above that. That's a meta-analysis of all of the RCTs put together. That's the general consensus of the scientific world at that time. And there's a couple of nuances because you got to be careful because some of them are outdated, but for the most part, that's your way to go. And we have all of this information that's flooding the media, flooding the web, coming from people who probably have good intention, except they are spitting some of the most ridiculous nonsense. And I mean, if you want to ask yourself and be real about this, like, how is this really going for us, Jess? Well, take a look in the world. How many people are suffering? I mean, 88% of the general population is considered metabolically unhealthy. That is freaking scary. That is scary shit, right? And there's so much that we can do. And the problem is that we're taking information from just anybody. We've lost all self-control of our own well-being, like, of who we are, and we're just passing that out. So that's some of the biggest problems. Now, to understand research, I gave you a little bit of that, but you have to understand that when you see these things on Instagram and when you see these things on Facebook and somebody posts up a study and it's like some pictures of something that I can make on Canva and it's like 93%, this, that, the other. Okay, those are great, but those are what's called observational studies. There's no cause and effect to that study. They're not randomly controlled. There's no placebo to go against it. That's just a big group saying that, you know, out of 500 people, 93% said this happened. And do we just brush that away because it's observational research? No, absolutely not. Observational research has its place because if we can get 2,000 people to all say, oh my God, this is impacting my life, this is crazy. Well, now that warrants what's called an RCT, a random controlled trial, to see if we can actually pinpoint cause and effect. And then from there, you have to understand that, can what's being done in the laboratory be duplicated in real life? So it's great that it can be done in a vacuum. It's great that if, 100 people all had access to a medical team and nutritionist, and they had access to different food choices, and they had things weighed out for them, and they were getting their weekly blood work, and they could figure out where they were. Was that being done in the trial to get the results that were had? And then can that be duplicated into the real world? So that's another layer that has to be. So that's why what's called analysis of all of the random control studies, that's the bigger picture. So Jesse, what the hell? I understand I asked you to bear with me because if you don't understand the why, you're not going to understand how we got to all these myths. All these things about, certain proteins that are bad for us and we can't eat at certain times. And, we get all these diagnoses of, diseases that are all lumped together. Like, for instance, autoimmune disease, right? And we're seeing like 5 different doctors for different autoimmune diseases when wait a minute, they all stem back to the root cause. Like, if we can address the root cause, then that's there. But we need real research. So, I'm sharing that with you because I want to just encourage you guys to realize that. And again, I was there, which is why I'm so passionate about making sure that you understand this stuff, is that you don't just want to jump at things because you think they're healthy or you assume that, just because it's a vegetable, for instance, that it's good for you, or just because this thing that got published, works for X amount of people, why might it not work for you? And it's just important to know where the results are coming from, what's being said, how is it done? It's important to know that you can do your own trials and tribulations. You can do your own experiments. I implore you to do your own experiments. I encourage you to do your own experiments. And that kind of like shifts me into my first topic that I posted. Hopefully I didn't lose anybody with that and you got all that, but I highly recommend, if you want to know more, I'm not going to give away all the man's secrets. Go get the book, Flexible Dieting. It is literally one of the best things that I've ever had in my possession in all my 20 years of doing this. And I've spent thousands of dollars for information. So if that says anything to you, that's like 23 bucks. I wish I found that a long time ago. Okay, so I first wanted to go into, if you're watching this in our Shredder community, what's up? If you're not part of our Shredder community, what the hell are you waiting for? For the last, I don't know, almost 2 years, we have been talking about this, and thousands of people, literally 25.5 thousand people are in this group right now. And we have seen some of the most unbelievable life transformations that I have ever seen in all my years of doing this. My good friend Susan Rothman, who is a holistic nurse, she's a professional herbalist, and she's been working in this field for 40 years. She works in functional medicine. Her and I are still mind blown over not just the results, but the length of time that people have been with us and the consistency that people have had living the Shredder lifestyle. So one of the topics that I told you that I would cover is, why is the ER Shred so powerful? Why can it work for anyone? Why can it work for somebody who's 300 pounds that has to lose 100 pounds or 200 pounds? Why can it work for somebody who is an athlete? Because I started doing this as a competitive endurance athlete or an ultra marathon. So obviously I'm not looking for deprivation. I'm not looking for muscle loss. I'm not looking for a decrease in my athletic performance. So how the hell can something like that, Jesse, if you're telling me that your food is my poison and everything's not the same, well, how is it that this ER Shred protocol, this 11-day protocol, how is it then that it can work for an athlete or it can work for somebody who's overweight, really in a bad situation and drastically has to get healthier? And I'll tell you why. We cut through all the bullshit with the ER Shred. There's no bullshit, okay? We don't have time for bullshit. It's an 11-day protocol, and it is one of the most powerful protocols because of the systems that are combined together to make it what it is. And those systems are perfectly placed inside of one of the most uplifting, motivating, inspiring, loving communities that you can ever possibly be a part of. And that, my friends, is not heard of. The only thing that is even remotely close to something like that is a program that's out there called Virta. And it costs you $450 a month to be a part of. You have access to medical teams. You have access to, nutritionists. Like it's specifically for diabetics. It's specifically for weight loss. It's following more of a keto approach. And they're going to take people long term. But I compare it to that because I want you to understand the value of what's here. That community, plus the fact of cutting through the bullshit and making sure that we just strip it away. There's a lot of things out there, and they're like, well, do this reset or try this program. And, you can still have, 25 grams of sugar a day, and you can still have these flours that we know are inflammatory, and we know that they're messing with people's GI system. But hey, you know what? Because we're gonna try to market this and make it look all sexy, we're just gonna do it this way, and we're gonna just totally turn a blind eye to research, and we're gonna totally turn a blind eye to science. And there you go. And how many of you have been into that situation before? Raise your hand. How many of you have been frustrated, negged out, lost your attitude because you really wanted to do this and you bought into some scheme, right, of this program that promised the world, do it by your body type, do it by your blood type, do it by this, all of which, by the way, has no science behind it, just saying. There's no comparable research behind that. But that's what people fall into. So the ER Shred is very different because, I'm going to talk about rigidity and flexibility in a little bit, but the ER Shred 11-day protocol would fall into the rigidity category, and I'm going to explain to you why that's okay in my opinion. It's only 11 days. I'm only asking you to do this for 11 days, and that's it. And then after that, you get to choose, and that's where the power starts to come into play. We don't want to sit here and tell you what to eat for the rest of your life. We're not going to do that. We're going to teach you how to make your own food blueprint. So the ER Shred is an elimination reset shred protocol. What are we eliminating? We're not going to make you not love your friends. We're not going to make you like die and starve in a corner. Like, I think so many people are so scared of that because of all the shit that's out there. So we're eliminating all of the inflammatory foods. We're eliminating the sugars, the starches, the dyes, the sucralose, the artificial flavoring. We're eliminating some of the fruits and vegetables that are causing some of you gastrointestinal issues. We're eliminating all of that, and we're only going to flood the body with the most nutrient-dense, bioavailable nutrition on the face of the planet through our partner company with our macronutrient balance shakes. Those have different enzymes in them called protease enzymes. We've learned through some research that other doctors have done, that when they did the breakdown, we could trick the proteases into what's called the incubation process. So now we can take that shake with its grass-fed undenatured whey protein. We can break down the branched chain amino acids, which are basically life. I'm going to explain to you protein and why it's so important soon. We're going to break that down, and we're going to get a 90% net protein utilization. So we're going to do that. We're going to use grass-fed beef, because it is one of the most dense superfood nutritions on the face of the planet. A palm-sized piece will net you about 45 grams of high-quality bioavailable protein, leucine, muscle-building, branched-chain amino acid, an essential amino acid, right? So protein is 20 amino acids. We're going to load the body with that. You can have grass-fed butter. You can have pasture-raised eggs. Like, we're only going to put in what's nourishing the body. And you are going to feel more satisfied, more full, more alive than you've ever felt in your entire life. I know it sounds crazy, but that's why I started this the way I did. I wanted to share all the fake information you've learned. And I'm sure you've heard some of the fake shit about meat and how it causes heart disease and cholesterol. Well, newsflash, dietary cholesterol does not impact body's cholesterol like it was promoted. Science has demystified that, debunked that, and it's not true. So we're only going to flood the body. We're going to take you through a cellular intermittent fast. This is not some woohoo wishy-washy stuff. We're not going after the water-soluble toxins. No, I need your body to shift into utilizing your own stored body fat. Why? Because that's where the forever toxins are stored. And we now know that those forever toxins are no longer stuck inside your body for the rest of your life. So when you can shift to utilizing your own body's fat, those toxins in the oils of the fat are going to get released into the bloodstream. Now, if you've eliminated all the crap, you've taken out the inflammatory stuff, you've gotten rid of the sugar, you've gotten rid of the flour, you've gotten rid of all of that stuff, your body's functioning. It's actually fueling the way that it's supposed to, the way that it's designed to be. When that process then happens, your body is going to then be able to carry them to the liver. Your liver is not going to be overwhelmed by processing all the other nonsense, the sugar, the flour, the alcohol that you've been dumping in it for so many years. It's actually going to go, holy crap, I can finally do my job again. And it's going to shift out those toxins. And that's the biggest difference between a timed window fasting and a true cellular intermittent fast. You're talking about getting deep into the cells, into what's called autophagy, where the healthy cells are eating the bad cells. You're re-regulating all of your hormones, your serotonin, your ghrelin, your hunger hormones, the things of why you're hungry midday, why you feel like you want to take a nap, why you're craving donuts and ice cream and candy bars. That is not normal for a human being. So we're going to regulate all of those hormones in this. This is such a powerful thing. And you go, okay, well, what if I'm healthy, Jesse? What if I'm an athlete? I guarantee you this. If you're an athlete, you're taking in more toxins than the average person. You're breathing in more air. Your blood is pumping faster than the average person during your HIIT workouts, during your weight workouts, during your outdoor runs. If you're running in a city, how much shit are you breathing in every single day? You think that water, when you get into that hot water in the shower and all your pores open up, you think that water is actually clean that's going on in your body? Our water is some of the nastiest shit on the face of the planet right now, full of fluoride and pesticides and herbicides and chemicals that have been around since World War II, seeping into our ground, leaching into the soil. So again, we can't get away from it. And I'm not doing this to scare you. I just want you to understand this is why you all need it. This is why it can work for any person. Now, the biggest difference is when we get into the shred aspect and when we come out of the 11-day, which is when we start to get the beautiful customization. And what's so beautiful is naturally came with the ER Shred is the most beautiful, flexible dieting program that I have ever seen put together. And I think we honestly did it by accident, which is the funniest part. So that's the best part. But that's why. And the shred part is we're fueling the body with good foods. Now, when you're done with the 11-day shred, you're going to be in a really good place. I don't know of very many people. There have been a couple. I think they self-sabotage themselves, if I'm being really honest with you, because I don't know of very many people that have not come alive in 11 days or very soon thereafter. Most people, it's anywhere from 5 to 7 days. And when I say come alive, what I mean is you actually don't have brain fog anymore. You can actually think. You can remember stuff. You aren't sluggish. You don't feel like you want to fall asleep and take a nap on your desk at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You're not craving sugar by midday like a drug addict. You're not needing your hit because your body's not so reliant on that glucose anymore. Your body's not getting all of the toxins that are put in it every single day. It's only getting vitamins, minerals, nutrients, proteins, good carbs, fats. It's loading the body. So it's a good system. Now, after the 11 days, that's where it becomes beautiful. So now we're going to slide into creating your own food blueprint. And this is where so many people get mixed up. And I see so many people in our community. And even if you're not in our community, you can benefit from this. But again, I don't know why you're not. www.ershredders.com. It's free. Please go there. So many people are scared to go off of a plan. And I get it. I totally get it. But Alan, in his book, there's so much research behind what I'm about to share with you. And this isn't optimistic research. This isn't observational research. This is hardcore cause and effect, peer-reviewed research that these guys have access to that are published. It's on PubMed. You can find it in a lot of places. The best chance for success for long-term lifestyle, healthy living is to learn how to become the best flexible dieter. And we're going to break that down really quick. Again, if you really want to get in depth, go get this because that's going to break it down. I'm going to give you the outskirts of it because it's really, really important. A rigidity diet is something that literally says, here's your meal plan. This is all you can do. And that's why I told you that the initial 11-day ER Shred protocol would actually fall into more of the rigidity landscape. However, we have never stated from day one that you have to stay there. In fact, that is not where you need to stay for the longevity of your journey. I would actually highly recommend you don't stay there for the longevity of your journey. If you need to be there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shreds because it's been 10, 12, 14, 16 years of bad habits, bad choices, bad fueling, okay, then that makes sense. Also, if you're a person that functions better off of I need to know A, B, C, and D, that is also the right way for you. If you need that structure, if you need that rigidity, that is your path, my friend. That is your path. That is your path. You still follow the foundation of the food that we'll get into, okay? But the majority of people, when they become so rigid, meaning that you have success with something and then you start to explore, and I'm going to specifically use our food blueprint because I want to serve my shredder community, okay, and all the people that have invested their time into this and and believed in us. I feel like I need to share this with you. Creating your own food blueprint is not about, there's so many people that have a bad day and then you think that that's like all or nothing. Health is not a one choice, all or nothing type of thing. It just doesn't work like that. If you've done an amazing job for 4 weeks and you had an event in life, you had a death in the family, you had something really bad happen to you, whatever the case may be, and you, God forbid, decided to go out with friends and get a drink, so many people would be like, oh my God, I broke my plan. Everything's done. It's over. I can't believe it. And all of those emotions would carry into so much else. And I just need to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. Creating your own food blueprint literally means just that. You create your own food blueprint. And the ER shred is literally the train tracks for you to be able to do that. Alan, quote by Alan in a podcast, he said, I am a gigantic fan of a carnivore-ish protocol to help people get back to a baseline metabolic healthy state. And then from there, explore finally, once and for all, what the foods are that are triggering their health issues. Whoa. Over 25 years of research, one of the most notable people, one of the most respected people in all the journals and all the literature. That was literally his word for word in a podcast that I listened to him do. So know for a fact that the protocol of the ER shred is there to get you to that baseline. But your job is to continue on your journey. And again, if you're not ready after 11 days to start exploring with all sorts of foods, don't do it. Go slow. Go as slow as you need to. Also, go as fast as you need to. But I would still recommend you go slow. One of the biggest mistakes that people make on an elimination type of protocol is coming back too fast. And when you're finding your food blueprint, when you're finding foods that are your culprits, as we like to call them in our community, and I think sometimes we jump too fast on a food that might be a culprit. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you're a person that's done 3 shreds and you're loving life, you're feeling good, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to start exploring some foods. You throw in a little bit of avocado, everything's fine. You throw in some beans, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, my stomach. Is the bean automatically a culprit? No, not necessarily. Could it be that we stripped out all the dietary fiber? We allowed your body to come back to baseline. We allowed your body to regulate itself, and then you added too much fiber at one time. Could it be that? Could you just need to go a little bit slower? And that's a great example, and you can fill the blank in for any other type of food that you want to throw into that mix. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but any other type of food. You know, maybe you pause for a little bit. Maybe you give it another week. Maybe you try to add something else that has a little bit of dietary fiber, and then you go back to something that has a little bit more. And if you then try it out and it's not for you, great, move it to the side. There's thousands of other choices, and you continue on your journey of exploration with food. And eventually you're going to come to a place where I'm at, where you have anywhere from 35 to 45 foods that you know are deemed safe by you and you alone, nobody else. They are deemed safe by you because they make you feel amazing and they make you feel like a human every day. That is eventually going to be your food blueprint. And if you want to just live life a little bit, every now and then go out with the girls, go out with the guys, grab a drink, you start to, you become wiser over time and you start to use common sense. You go, okay, well, I'm not going to get that super loaded, high-filled sugar drink anymore. I'm going to get something like a simple vodka with seltzer water and lime. I'm going to sip on it. I'm going to have some water before and after. Like, I can still enjoy myself, but I can keep that to the bare minimum. Okay. So that's a little bit on that, with that. Next thing I want to get into. So I talked to you a little bit about, obviously, rigidity and flexible dieting. Let's just really kind of talk a little bit more about flexible dieting and why it's so important. So flexible dieting, when you start to become so rigid and you're the type of person that, I can't go out because, God forbid I have a bite of a cake. Like, no, I can't go out with you, or I can't do that because my plan doesn't say that, or, whatever that may be. If you start getting that rigid, you're going to start to create issues for yourself in the way that you're thinking. You're going to start having stinking thinking, and all of a sudden you're going to be so rigid in everything in life that you're not going to be living life, and the chances of you actually continuing on with that. This is why everybody fails in all sorts of these diets or these crazy programs. Like, maybe you'll have short-term success because you're all gung-ho, you're fired up, anybody can do something for a short period of time. And again, one of the things that I am the most proud of when it comes to the ER shred is I can literally count on two hands the amount of people that have lost 80 to 100 plus pounds, have been with us for well over a year, multiple people, loads of people, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months going on their year, celebrating their shredder year anniversary. Like, that doesn't happen. And that goes to show you the power of flexible dieting, because we don't bring people into this community after the 11 days and say, no, you can't do that. We educate people on the choice that they're making, whether it's good or bad. And then at the end of the day, if you still choose to do that because you think it then serves your life at that place in time, that is the right answer, my friends. That is the right answer. Melanie, 654 days. Holy shit. You are the original OG shredder for sure. Besides Sean, Crystal, and whatever. So that's the beautiful thing about flexible dieting. The science shows without a doubt that your long-term success is going to come by becoming a flexible dieter. Now, being a flexible dieter does not mean, listen very closely, does not mean if it fits your macros. Have you ever heard that? IIFYM. Has anybody ever heard that acronym before? I never knew this until I dove into this man's work. He was actually one of the ones that accidentally, listen to how fast nonsense can shred, accidentally created the acronym if it fits into your macros. Has anybody heard that before? If you've been in the dieting world, I know you've heard that before. So basically what that states is you can eat any food that you want. McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, chips, pretzels, fruit, honey, yogurt, doesn't matter, as long as the numbers at the end of the day, the proteins, the carbs, the fats, what's called your macronutrients, as long as those numbers match into what this calculation, which I guess is the same for everybody, which is calculation tells you that you need, as long as you hit those macronutrients, everything is fine and your health is going to be amazing. So this guy was part of what's called bodybuilding.com, which is a huge website way back in the day. And the owner of bodybuilding.com, they started a blog, and every single day people would ask them, can I eat egg whites? Can I eat chicken? Can I eat this? Can I eat that? And anybody who's on the board knows that questions, while they're amazing, repetitive questions that have already been answered that are in places such as the guides, over and over again, get really testing. And one day they're like, we got to come up with an acronym so people will stop asking us this. And we just answer real quick. And they used to type out, if it fits your macros, meaning not in the literal sense, the way that it's taken today and it was blown up in mainstream media, but they said, if it makes sense, then yes, you can eat it. Like, that's what they were trying to say. So they created the acronym IIFYM, and that turned into a national phenomenon, and it spread like wildfire. There was actually a diet protocol that was created after it. And if you've heard any other information about how that was created or why it was created or if it works or doesn't work, this is the dude that does it, that invented it. He tells you straight out, if you heard it any other way, it's wrong. And he's now on a mission to try to correct it because of how bad and how bad of the effects it's done for people. It's just not good. So flexible dieting is definitely the way. Okay. Next thing that I want to talk about is hydration. We hear about hydration all the time. How many of you have heard you have to drink half your body weight in ounces a day? You have to drink 1 gallon of water every day. How many people have been to the gym before and you see all the people, the bodybuilders, they're walking around these big old gallons, and every single time they're in between, like, I was that guy. But I tell you, I've done the IIFYM. God, it's so stupid. I've done the rigid diets. I've done the water stripping. I've done the carb cycling. I've done the, all this stuff. Like, it's just crazy to me to actually, like, I'm laughing at myself because I'm like, gosh, like, how much time and money could I have saved myself if I just knew this man, like, earlier on, and he could have shared, like, the real shit with me. And I could have really understood how to read research and how not to fall for observational studies and how not to, jump through a hoop of fire anymore just because something worked for somebody. Like, oh my God. Anyways, hydration. How many have heard that, right? That's not the real thing, okay? Is water important? Yes, 80% of your body is made of water, for crying out loud. Like, your body needs water to function. But the problem is that our water today is garbage, and what we really need from the water is the electrolytes, the sodium, the potassium, the magnesium, which sadly is not found in our water anymore. Instead, it's fluoride and pesticides and herbicides, and I forgot the other chemicals, like it was flame retardant, and there was not cyanide. Gosh, there's some really, there's no level that's actually healthy, but yet there's like 3% in our water. Okay. So do we need to drink this? Yes. However, the world is dehydrated. Arsenic. Yes. Thank you, Susan. Arsenic. There's no level of arsenic that's actually deemed safe, but yet it's allowed in our drinking water, our public drinking water. Go figure. Ugh. Anyways. So do you need to drink water? Yes, you need to drink water. But there's also something called overhydration, and then there's dehydration. Both of them are not good for you. So I very, very rarely, and I do, this is regular water right now, but I very rarely will you see me just pounding gallon after, bottle after bottle of regular water anymore, because it's just not what my body needs. My body needs electrolytes. My body needs sodium, potassium, and magnesium, so my cellular functions can actually fire. So all of the neurons and the things, the electricity, literally, that's created can actually fire inside my body and make me feel amazing. Next time you feel wiped out, grab a big bottle of electrolytes, not the ones that are sugar-filled. Obviously, if you're part of our Shredder community, we use something called Hydrate, which is amazing. It's the healthiest Gatorade you've ever had, basically. There's no sugar, alcohols, nothing fake, all natural. It's amazing. And you hydrate your body. That is what hydration is. So if you're dehydrated, it's hard to lose weight. You can have diarrhea. You can become constipated. You can get migraines. You can get headaches. You can throw off your blood pressure. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen in a state of dehydration. And when you're overhydrated, you flushed away. You have too much water in your cells, and you don't have the balance of electrolytes and water in an even ratio. So hydration is very important, but that whole thing of like, you have to drink half your body weight in ounces, wrong, false. Like, you should drink when your body's telling you, get more in tune with your body. But yes, you want to make sure that you're getting in enough, but you don't have to drown yourself every single day. That's what I'm going to leave it like that. I have a video that I went into more information about hydration. It's on our YouTube channel. It's in our Shredder community group. Again, if you missed that, www.ershredders.com. Go check it out. Sodium. Let's talk about sodium. Salt. So many people are scared to use pink Himalayan sea salt. Redmond's pink Himalayan sea salt. The stuff that's actually natural. But you're not scared to eat the potato chips. You're not scared to eat the cookies. You're not scared to eat the crackers. You're not scared to eat the barbecue sauce lathered on your ribs, loaded in sugar, that's loaded in sodium, fake sodium to the thousands of milligrams. So when you hear the myth of like, oh my God, salt is really bad for you. Yes, when you take it at a pharmacological level, like the American population is taking in today, in all of the processed foods that we're eating, yes, it's dangerous. But if you're on a whole foods approach, like the ER Shred lifestyle, like creating your own food blueprint, quality meat, good quality proteins, healthy vegetables, lower on the fruit. It's not that you can't have the carbs, which we'll touch on in a second, but it's just, you're finding your balance. When you're not putting in all that processed stuff, salt, sodium is essential to daily living. You literally need it to thrive and function on a daily level. So don't be scared of it just because you heard some fake research. All of that research is not random, it's not RCT, it's not meta-analysis, it's observational, and even below observational, it's just like random bro science. And for some reason, it caught steam, it got put out there. Like, that's how things get mixed up. Remember, most people, right, 33.7% of all the nutrition guidance in the world is physicians. And we know that they're not necessarily the best trained in nutrition. And then other takes second at 13.3%. Personal trainers, again, unless they took a nutrition course, like an actual nutrition course, not like a 2-month certification, but like actual nutrition, and studied it, they're probably not there, but yet they have 7.2% of the top 100 selling books. Entrepreneurs, okay. Editors, great. Actors, bloggers, then nutritionists at 4.8, naturopaths at 3.6, journalist, biochemist, then a dietitian at 3.6, TV personalities, because they know a lot, and a psychologist, because psychologists who study the brain obviously know everything about nutrition. That's where you're getting all that fake ass information from. Understand? So now that you know, it's not an overnight fix. There's no overnight fix. But now you can be more aware and you can start to ask better questions. And when you ask better questions, you become better educated. When you're better educated, you can make better choices. It's very, very simple. Okay. We talked about how to create my own individual food blueprint. Is there a magical window of opportunity for eating after a workout? Is there really a better time to eat? Should I not eat after 8 o'clock? Should I eat first thing in the morning? Should I continue my fast through the night until noon? Wow, that's a lot of information. Okay, here's the deal. There is absolutely no sound research that's been identically peer-reviewed that shows this. Are there benefits and nuances to timed window eating? Yes. If you are a person that needs to restrict your calorie intake and get back control because you've lost control. That's where that comes into play. But to say that that's the better way to live over somebody who says has a hit of protein at night before they go to bed is absolutely false. You can't say that. It's the better way to live for the individual if they're in a certain situation in life. Maybe they're a type 2 diabetic. Maybe they don't have control over insulin sensitivity. They're very resistant to insulin. They would then benefit from a more controlled eating window only for the purpose to reduce and restrict their calorie intake for the day is what the literature has shown us. That's the literature, okay? So the literature is also shown, and this comes back from a group that started in the 1980s. Again, I'm not going to go through the specifics because I don't have time for that. Go learn about it. But that comes from a group of people from the 1980s did something. They isolated athletes. They isolated non-trained people, which then throws another flaw in the research because it's called newbie gains. When you take a research group that is unhealthy and all of a sudden you make them healthy, of course you're going to get ridiculous gains. But can you keep those gains going? Can you get those gains in an already trained individual with that same research? Now we're talking something very, very, very different, okay? So this whole magical window, and I fell into this. I used to make sure that I ran to my locker, I pounded my protein shake. There is no matched research that shows that that window of magical opportunity actually exists. They've done the research up until the 2-hour window, and up until 2 hours, they know without a shadow of a doubt that if you get your protein in within 2 hours, or if you get it in within 15 minutes of a workout, for instance, your body is still going to take that and do the same biological responses. It's going to use the same molecules that you'd be putting in 15 minutes versus 2 hours, and it's going to put it to work just the same way. It doesn't matter when, it matters if. At the end of the day, if you actually hit what you were supposed to hit. So isn't that crazy? Now, we don't know at the 3-hour mark, but maybe at 3 hours, it all goes to shit. It's funny how Alan says that. He goes, at 3 hours, maybe it all goes to shit. I don't know. But as of now, with all the research they've done and all the meta-analysis and all the looking, it doesn't exist. Pound for pound with all of it, it just isn't there. So it's not so much necessarily when you're eating your proteins and fats that matter. It's if you're getting them in throughout the course of the day. There is a little bit of a caveat to the window, and that comes to carbohydrates, but we are really narrowing it down to a specific group of endurance athletes, like such as myself, where you can actually benefit from the timing of certain carbohydrates to activate glycogen stores, which is the energy producing things, the ATP to the mitochondria. Like, you can activate that and time that specifically. But when it comes to proteins and fats, there is no magical window. You just need to get it in the course of a day. And you know if you're hitting your caloric needs for the day very, very simply, because if you're going over, you're going to be in a calorie surplus. And if you're not working out and you're not bodybuilding and you're not lifting weights and you're not doing functional fitness or something and really stimulating the body, you're going to gain weight. And if you're under, you're going to lose weight. And if you're maintaining, you're maintaining. Like, that's your caloric load. Like, that's how you know. Now, can you track it? You can, but that then falls into the rigidity side of dieting. And is that going to actually be the best for you? Now, I think there's a place for it, but I think there's a place for a very short window of time. And once you understand, you get rid of that shit, because if you just fall into that again, you're going to fall into all those bad habits and everything else that came with it. And it's just not going to get you what you want. So that's that. Okay. Let's get into this. What's the real deal with carbohydrates? Can I eat them and still hit my goals? Okay. Short answer, absolutely. In fact, some of the best carbohydrates in the world are some of the healthiest foods in the world. Don't forget, every single vegetable is a carbohydrate. Every single vegetable is a carbohydrate. I think the problem is that in this world that we live in, we took the word carbohydrate and we grouped it as a big thing. Carbohydrates are not all created equal. When we think of carbohydrates, the average person just assumes cookies, chips, breads, pretzels, flour, pasta, so on and so forth. I don't view carbohydrates that way. I view carbohydrates as different groups. So if you understand food, every food is full of molecules. And you then have to know, what kind of molecules am I eating? What kind of molecules am I choosing to put into my body? And how then are those molecules going to react? And are they going to fuel my body for performance, or are they going to fuel my body for disease? And unfortunately, a lot of the choices that the average person is making today, it is fueling us for disease. So carbohydrates have gotten a very, very bad rap, okay? And rightfully so. I mean, food industry has taken advantage. We are, 88% metabolically unhealthy. So many people are insulin resistant. We're addicted to flour. We're addicted to sugar. We're eating literally hundreds of pounds per person per year. We know without a shadow of a doubt that sugar is a direct cause of disease, even 13 different cancers. I mean, the literature all says this, okay? There's no argument. It's just the facts, okay? We know that. However, I can't just say that carbohydrates are bad for you because that's not the truth. Again, vegetables, the vegetables that are going to agree with you and your own individual food blueprint, that's the important part. Those are amazing for you. Those are chock full of vitamins and minerals and nutrients and things called polyphenols, which are going to help fight cancer and dementia and autoimmune disease, and they're going to help regulate your blood pressure, and they're going to help regulate your cholesterol, and they have so many amazing properties. So we have to go on a journey together, and that's why it's so important to get your food blueprint and stop listening to the next expert who doesn't have the same backing, because now you know where the 100 bestsellers are. And most people, they say, get their information from the books that are at the stores or the media or the magazines. Anything in the magazine is observational research. It's just absolutely crazy. So anyway, so that's that. So guys, you can play around. Now, Jesse, why we're talking about carbs, is there a place for the foods, like for the sugar, for the donuts, for the breads, the pastas, your indulgences, if you will, your treat meals, if you will? Is there a place for them? We really, really got to be careful with this. Without a shadow of a doubt, it is wreaking havoc on the health of the American population and the world population. Without question, it is absolutely destroying the health of the average person. However, if you're a person like me and you're pushing your bodies to max levels every day and you're training for 50 and 100-mile races that have 10 to 12 to 14 plus thousand feet of elevation gain, there is very, very little place in your life for this stuff. It is just not good at all, okay? If you're a person that wants to look good on the beach and you want to, just live a healthy life, you can afford 10 to 20% of your daily caloric intake to what I'm going to call garbage food, because it's not food at all. It's not freaking food. Like, I can't even classify it as food anymore. But if you're doing everything else right, you're hitting your protein, you're getting in high quality, you're exercising, you're not sitting on your ass all day, you're doing the mental work, you're doing the social integration, you're doing everything, you can afford to have 10 to 20%. That's where the 80-20 or 90-10 philosophy came into play. But I need you to understand something. If you're a person whose caloric needs are 2,000 calories a day, and you're going to take in 10%, that's 200 calories a day out of 2,000, and you can still be safe if everything else is on point. Now, the other caveat to this is, if you're a person who's in a really bad place with your health, I would not recommend that you even have 10%, because you have a whole host of healing to do. This is strictly for a person who has done the work. They put in the time. They've re-regulated their hormones. They're not insulin resistant anymore. Their body can actually release insulin. Insulin can take the sugar. It can shuffle into the belly of the muscle. It can store it as energy. That energy can then be broken down. That broken down energy can then be utilized and exerted and not stored as body fat. If you can do that, if your body can do that at that point, that's the person that I'm speaking to. If not, you want to be really, really disciplined, not so rigid, because you can have other treats that can give you satisfaction without loading that kind of stuff. I don't really think there's a place for that. But again, I got to put everything in there, right? Because it's important, because some people like to drink. I'm not a big drinker. it just doesn't serve me. It's not because I can't or I don't want, like, I just don't want to, right? I used to be a huge drinker, not anymore. It doesn't serve me. But if you want to have that and you can do that, now remember, one drink is like 200 to 400 calories. So you pick and choose your battles. If you eat a huge ass piece of dessert, you're way over. If you do that every single day, or you do that more often than not, the results are probably not going to be the best for you. So we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to go back and do individual topics of this, individual dives, but I wanted to get it all out there because all this is amazing, and we have to wrap this up literally within the next 10 minutes, but I have important things. Next thing I want to do is, what is fat adapted, and how do I know if I'm really there? Okay. Please stop making this so complicated, okay? Becoming fat adapted simply means that you are going to teach your body how to easily and efficiently shift itself from using glucose as its main energy source, and you are going to easily be able to break down either your own body's stored fat or dietary fat that you ingest, and your body is going to easily be able to utilize that as an energy source. Sadly, 90% of the population cannot do that. That's why you get cravings. If you are hungry every 60 to 90 minutes, you are not fat adapted. I have to remind myself at this point to eat. I eat so much food. I eat like 4,000 calories a day while I'm in peak training, 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day. I have to remind myself to literally eat because I've been living a not no carb. I'm not like full keto because I don't believe in that either. Okay. It's too rigid. It doesn't work fully for the long term. I just haven't seen it. The literature doesn't prove it. So I would say I'm lower carb, strategic carb, more Mediterranean carnivore based. That's the foundation. And funny enough, that's the foundation of the ER shred, right? That by science, not unknowingly, has actually been proven to be one of the best ways. It's funny that all these guys say, you know what, you can eat the carbs and you can have these, but I choose not to eat them. Every person that I listen to, all these geniuses that have been in this industry for so long, they all choose the lower carb, higher protein, moderate fat lifestyle. And that has been shown to be by literature, one of the most sound ways for pretty much almost everybody in existence. And again, the protein doesn't necessarily have to come from meat per se. However, I do believe that it's literally the most bioavailable, dense nutrition on the face of the planet. And the other benefits that you get from it, the amount of amino acids, the leucine, in fact, the muscle building, essential amino acid, the stuff that you can get from that you can't get, the iron, the riboflavin, the CLA, all the other things that you can get from that you can't get from a plant protein, all those amino acids, that is why it has the upper edge. But in literature, muscle doesn't get affected. None of that necessarily gets affected. You're just taking a chance because some people are very affected by different other proteins where the average person has no issue with the meat. So being fat adapted, you're not craving food all the time. You're not a food junkie. You can walk by sweets and be like, that doesn't even look like food to me. You're not tempted by this. You don't necessarily have to eat. You're eating because you know that your food is your medicine and it's time to give your body its medicine so it can keep performing at peak optimal levels. So that's some different signs of how to know that you're fat adapted. Now, the fat adapted scale, this is where it tricks people because you could be trying, but you have so much healing and you have so much stuff going on inside your body that your body has to regulate that you might not become fat adapted for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks even. There's people that can go that long. Now, if you're a hardcore athlete, you're coming in, you might hit an energy bonk at once. Once your body understands what you're doing, you shift, you come out of it, you start to learn how to fuel. This is literally how I did it when we first launched this thing. You know, I dipped at first, my body came back, and now I just got it so in tune that it's just ridiculous. Like it just goes and goes and goes and goes. But I don't crave things. Like I eat things because I know that that's my body's medicine. I'm eating my protein because I know it's one of the most important things that I could possibly do for my health, which we'll get into as our last thing in 1 second. Okay. So that's a little bit on fat adaptation. And the last thing that I want to leave you with, hands down, the most important factor, I saved the best for last, 100%. So if you stuck around for the entire time, I appreciate you. And here it is. Carbohydrates and fats are negotiable. They are negotiable. If you want to be a lower carb, higher fat person and that works for you, have at it. Have at it, brother. Like, have at it. If you are thriving and your numbers are in check and you're doing awesome, and you're, let's say an endurance athlete and you can handle more carbs because your body's not storing it and you're actually utilizing it and you're picking the right ones, like you have at it. If you're a person who can benefit on lower carbs and higher fat, and that's the way, have at it. That's the right way for you. It is negotiable. And the research has been done and pitted against each other and been meta-analyzed. Okay? It's been done and you have at it. You have at it. That's why I will never tell somebody in the ER shred, like, you can't eat that. I'm like, there's better choices, but if you feel that that's that for you, you have at it, okay? That's the important thing as long as you keep going. That's really what I need is your consistency, your longevity, because really that trumps everything else. That trumps everything else. So that's negotiable. What is non-negotiable? It is literally non-negotiable. No matter what your goal is, if you're an Olympic athlete or if you're a person that needs to lose 200 pounds, the one thing in health that has been proven by so much literature, by so much peer-reviewed research, by so much meta-analysis is protein. You cannot negate on your daily protein intake. And what we have come to learn in the literature, the most recent literature today, is that the basic level, the basic amount that an average individual should take in on a daily basis is actually double the RDA, the recommended daily allowance value that the RDA puts out. And you have to remember that the RDA was created 40 years ago, and it has not been updated one time, not one time. I have no idea why, but it's not been updated one time by the powers that be. It was also done and generated off of sedentary, unhealthy people. So the percentages that they're teaching and what they put out and what they're telling people to get in are 40 years old and not done on a well-rounded general population. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where our recommended daily allowances come from. So research has now shown that protein is a non-negotiable. You must get in at least 0.7 grams per pound of body weight to 1 gram per pound of body weight per day in order for optimal health to be achieved. And if you're a person that's 250 or 300 pounds, no, you don't have to take in 300 grams of protein a day. That's excessive. So you want to base that number off of your ideal body weight. So if you're in a person that's trying to lose weight and your goal weight is 150 pounds, but yet you're 200 pounds, your goal every day should be to get in 150 grams of protein per day. Now, what happens if I don't hit that number? Should I freak out? No, you should not freak out. Sorry, my throat's dry. No, you should not freak out. Your goal, your job, if you so will, is to get as close to that as feasibly possible. And that's it. If you can do it, great. If not, no problem. Well, Jesse, how do I get that done? How do I eat that much protein? Because protein is the most satiating, meaning the most filling, macronutrient that you could eat. So how the hell can I get all that protein in? Well, as Alan says, you got to get in touch with your inner protein shake, bro. For years, I have always taken in 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. People have, that old myth of what about kidney? What about kidney problems? If and only if you have kidney disease or think you have kidney disease, that is the only time that amount of protein can be an issue. And you should see your doctor if you're not right away. Any other person, the literature has been done, the research has been done, and there is zero scientific proof to show that if an individual, average even, not even an athlete, but an individual, average individual, gets in 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, there is little to no effect at all on the kidney. So if you can get in, for instance, if you're living the shredder lifestyle, how do I do this? Well, we already drink 2 amazing undenatured whey protein macronutrient shakes a day that have 36 grams of protein in the shake. So right there alone is 72 grams. And if you're eating a palm-sized piece of steak, let's say, that's another 40 grams right there. So for some of you, that in itself is enough. You could also just simply add another protein shake. So my goal every day is to get in at least 190 grams of protein per day. I really shoot for around 220 because, again, I'm an athlete and I want 1.5 grams per pound of body weight going into my body per day. The only way that I can make that happen is I got in touch with my inner protein shake. So sometimes that means I'll have 3 of our macronutrient meal shakes and an additional just protein shake. Sometimes I'll have 2 just protein shakes plus my meal shakes that have my 36 grams of protein. So 36, 36, 25, 25. Then I eat literally nonstop. Like I have protein during the day in my beef sticks and my cheese. I have protein in my yogurt. I have protein at every single dinner. I eat 3 pasture-raised eggs a day. I have, some sort of protein for dinner, whether it's salmon or a fatty fish or a grass-fed, grass-finished ribeye or a flank steak or filet mignon or grass-fed burger or whatever the case may be. So I am hitting those goals every single day. And as you age, this gets even more important. So if you're a competitive athlete, and again, I don't want to put you down, but I'm not talking like just showing up to the gym every day. Like, I don't want to take that away from you. I'm not taking that away from you. So please don't. I just need you to understand the differences. I'm not taking that away from you. If you actually know me, you know that I'm the complete opposite of that. But I just want to touch on that for somebody that might not know me. Like, I'm not that person. But anyways, average workouts are not depleting like that. So as you get older, and if you're a competitive hardcore athlete, the higher the protein intake is even more important. Protein is not just for muscle, although people want this and they want abs and they want that. I'm more worried about skeletal muscle because skeletal muscle is the muscle that keeps you alive. Skeletal muscle is the largest. That's the organ, right? That's what you want. So skeletal muscle is going to prevent older people from slip and falls and hip fractures. Do you know that if you fall over the age of 65, let's say that you're reaching up on a stool, you don't have the muscle anymore, your muscle's depleted because of what's called sarcopenia, the decrease of muscle during aging, and you haven't stimulated the body, you're not strength training, you're not getting in your protein, you fall, you break your hip. 50% of women who do that are destined for a nursing home or assisted living. 50% will never come back. That's how important muscle is. And again, I'm not talking about the muscle that you flex, although there's nothing wrong with that. I'm talking about skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle, right? That's different. That's different, right? The other muscle, that's good too. And again, if you want that, I love it. I want more of it. I think it's a game. I want to put on more. I play the game. Somebody put, yeah, not like Sean, but I play that game just like Sean. I think it's fun at 42 years old. I'm stronger now than I was at 20. And why shouldn't it be that way? Why, we get wiser. Why shouldn't we get healthier? Why shouldn't we get stronger? As we become wiser and have more information, why shouldn't we do that? Right? Why shouldn't we? Anyways, okay. So that's all of that, friends. That's what I got for you. I went a little bit over. It was a lot of information. I'm going to leave it all at there. One question. I want to weigh 150 pounds. How much protein per day? Kim, 150 grams. So, or 0.7 times 150, anywhere between that number and 150 grams, that should be your goal. Okay, so guys, if you have any other questions, post them into the group. If you're in, post them into this. I'll go back and look at this. If you're in our group and you have other questions, put them in there. Please do me a favor, smash the share button. Anybody that you know that's stuck in weight, anybody who's had these bad myths, anybody who's not sure, I hope that this information cleared some stuff up for you. Do yourself a favor. But again, get the book, but don't be so rigid. Right? Not all of this is going to be for you. Some of it's going to bore you. Maybe you might not even need it, but I just wanted to share with you the most updated stuff because that's really the most important. And I hope that all served you guys. So have an amazing night. Please come on to the call tomorrow night. Catch the live call. We're here every single week. I'll catch you here next week. See you later.